Welcome back to 8-Star Anime. I'm Dave, and joining me today is
Mike.
And we are going to finish up the second half of War in the Pocket, also known as Gundam, 0080?
Yep, Gundam 0080.
Is that how they're always referenced?
Yes, typically speaking, the Gundams that have the year numbers after them for Universal Century, it's always Gundam 00 something.
And the little subtitles are just...
Well, they only did two that had 00 numbers. So there's 0080 War in the Pocket, and there's 0083 Stardust Memory, which is about twice as long as this series and only half as good. But
That's fair. This is like the second time I've watched the series, and it's still really good in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The melodrama was a little bit more than I remembered.
Yeah. Without a doubt, War in the Pocket is the rough of the Gundam franchise.
The only one I've watched.
It's the only Gundam thing you've ever watched? Oh, keep me around, kid. I'll fix that.
I think you gave me some Gundam, and I may have watched some of it. It just didn't stick.
Well, Gundam as a franchise, they have... When I got into it, there was far less than there is now. But you have so many different eras. To put it half-ass in perspective, you and I are both big Star Trek fans.
Right.
Okay, so you can break Star Trek down into roughly four distinct eras. You have the 22nd century for Enterprise. The 23rd century is the classic series and the movies. The 24th century is TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and those associated movies. And then you have the Kelvin timeline for the reboot.
Right.
Okay, for Gundam, far and away the most prolific is the Universal Century. That's the original Gundam timeline, which is what this falls into.
Right. Because the whole war started and ended during this.
Well, no. This actually takes place during the last days of the One-Year War.
Oh.
If you watch the original television series or the original movie trilogy, and I would recommend watching the movie trilogy instead of the series, I think it starts around September, August or September of 0079, which is actually when this series is set. This show is set during 0079. It ends in 0080.
Right, because there's the school year in 79, and then everything goes down during the...
Basically over Christmas break. Yeah. But you have the Universal Century, then after Yoshiyuki Tomino, for want of a better term, washed his hands of the franchise for a little while, they started handing it off to other creators and just to see what they could do with it and letting them play in the sandbox. 3 mini-series, 8th MS Team, which is fantastic, 0080 and then 0083, were all set in the Universal Century, but then they started doing full-fledged television series that were each their own alternate reality. And that's kind of the way Gundam works now.
Alternate realities.
Yeah. G Gundam is one reality, Gundam Wing's one reality, so on and so forth. Though, Yoshiyuki Tomino, when he came back to the series for a show called Turn A Gundam, tried to reconcile it and say that it's actually all one world.
We've just been getting conflicted reports.
No, actually, his rationale actually wasn't a bad one. It was that each Gundam series takes place during the height of civilization, shortly before humanity screws it all up and blows themselves back into the Dark Ages, which basically hitting the reset button. And everything restarts. And so...
That's a terrible...
But what makes it fun for Turn A Gundam is Turn A Gundam actually takes place right after the reset button's been pushed.
Okay.
So you actually have these giant robots fighting battles alongside biplanes. It's an interesting show, but that's not the show we're talking about. So
that's a world of strange.
But yes, that's...
Well, I guess that's one of the advantages for this series is it's self-contained.
Very much.
You don't have to know anything about the universe. I don't.
No, with Gundam 0080, it is very much a self-contained story. If you have a passing knowledge of the original movie trilogy, it helps.
Better than I am. There were giant robots.
Well, it would help. There are certain things that will make slightly more sense.
Right, I mean, the political problems that are going on, but as the engine of the story, I don't know them, and you don't really need to know it. There's Group A, there's Group B, and they're arguing about stuff, and this colony is Group C, and they're neutral.
Yeah. we probably went over most of this during the first time around, but it takes place during the One-Year War in Gundam storyline. The Federated Union of Earth, which are for most of the One-Year War stories, the good guys, face the Principality of Zeon, which is a group of colonies on the dark side of the moon that tries to secede and wage a war of independence. They start their war of independence off by dropping a colony on Sydney, Australia, by nuking and chemically eradicating another group of colonies. And it leads to something they reference here, actually on this disc, which is the Antarctic Treaty, which bans all nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons. Side 6, which you will hear referred to constantly in this as Raya, which is every colony side has a nation name and has a side number designation. But
and the number is for the space station that they're on?
Well, for the colony group. So a cluster of colonies is a side. So side 6 is several different colonies, and you even hear them refer to one of them. Oh Lord,
where they were all going to take the
where they're going to take the ride to this other colony.
New Francesca, I think.
Francesca. That's the name of another colony in the area. But side 6 is neutral. And in the original series, it's safe haven, where there can be no attacks, there can be nothing, anything can happen. But in this, the Federation have set up essentially a test lab, for lack of a better term. They're developing a new Gundam mobile suit, something that they will not tell you in this because it's frankly not crucial to the story, is they're building a new Gundam for Amuro, the hero of the original series, because he has outgrown the Gundam in that television show. So they're trying to build a new mobile suit that fully takes advantage of his new type abilities. And that's the suit that they're building in this miniseries. But they're wanting to build it in secret, so where better to build it than a place where you can't have military stuff? But the Zeons figure it out, and
let's go build bombs in Switzerland.
Yeah, basically. And that's one of the things that I really do love about this miniseries. This miniseries is all about encapsulating Yoshiyuki Tomino's original vision for Gundam. War is hell.
That I like in this series too.
There's no good guy. There's no bad guy. There's basically winners and losers. And in this story, you really do not have a primary antagonist in the story.
I was about to say, the closest thing you have are the two pilots, and they both share the main character as friends, because no one is aware of the other one's identity.
Yeah.
And they take the time to explain to the kid that, there is no good or bad in this. Right. There's just soldiers on each side.
And you have in the second half, in Disc 2, you do essentially get your antagonist, who is a Zeon commander who's going to nuke the colony in order to prevent this Gundam from falling into anyone's hands.
And he never has any direct contact with anyone in the story.
Yeah, and he never, and the ship never gets there. They tell you off screen that it got captured. But which leads to, frankly, the tragedy of the story. It's not simply that war is hell, it's that sometimes people are going to die for nothing in this scenario. And that is something that hits home really harshly in this miniseries. The first half was all about preparation and finding everything. The second half, we see Cyclops' team's plan come to fruition. We see the Kampfer mobile suit, which is the mobile suit they smuggled aboard in the first 3 episodes. And one of the most badass bad guy robots in Gundam history, and it's only ever seen in this miniseries. I don't think
the blue one.
Yeah, they've never brought that design back. It has the anti-mobile suit shotgun, which I always think is hilarious to have a giant robot with a pump action shotgun. But you see that, and basically they build up this big badass mobile suit in order to show you how cool the Gundam is, because the Gundam takes it out like it's nothing. And
like its armor was made of paper.
Yeah. And so then it's all about we're going to nuke the colony. Oh, crap. Bernie, our Xeon pilot's like, we got to go. And more or less he gets shamed into staying behind, and his conscience gets the better of him. Of if I don't stop the Gundam, and I'm the only one that even knows it's here to stop it, then all of these innocent people will die.
I think some of his personal pride also helped. It's like he says, this is like, we're going to get into the spoiler aspect of it now. When he says at the end, I've got to face it, and he did that for him. I think as much, if not more, than for the other people in the colony.
Yeah, he says, I'm a soldier.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I have to do this, because I'm a soldier. And ultimately, because the ship with the nukes gets caught, that final fight never has to happen. But it's just going to show you that there is a soldier who was sent there with a mission, and a soldier who is working under orders
to defend.
And even though it is ultimately a completely useless battle that someone's going to die in, that it happens anyway. And I've always said that there's no way in hell Alfred Izaruha, who is our central character, the 10-year-old kid in this story, there's no way Al gets out of this unscarred. The kid is scarred for life.
He's going to have therapy sessions. Lots of therapy sessions.
Yes, very much so.
Because he's dealing with adult shit that adults have problems with, and he's a kid.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, again, all the good stuff about the first half is just as good in the second half.
Yeah, it's just not as jovial.
Yeah. So I think
a team gets beat up, and you deal with a lot of dark stuff. But it's done well.
Yes, it really is. So, if I recall correctly, there's some sort of rating system on this show.
There is. Remember, we're doing tangibles, video and audio, kind of build together to build 4 points.
Okay.
That way you can kind of give a little flex between 0 and 4. I find the audio to be okay. It does what it does, but this is my jam. This is my style of anime. The 80s style, I don't know when it was built, but that's what it looks like. I love that anime. So, physically, I give it 3 stars.
Yeah, I'm going to give it pretty much the same thing. I'm actually looking for a copyright date that I'm failing to find.
It's alright.
I mean, it's actually going to bug me at this point.
Gundam, Robotech, Voltron, it all came out in America around the same time.
They put reversible covers on these son of a guns, and I think it's on the backside cover. Anyway.
Well, if you're curious, Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's what Google's for. I would give it 3, perhaps 3.5. And the only reason I ding it for anything, this is visually my favorite Gundam series ever. I've said this before. It is my favorite Gundam series. Visually, it's amazing. If for no other reason than it sidesteps a lot of the giant mecha show cliches visually, right. Where if you disable an enemy mech, it go boom. They sidestep that. It only happens once in the entire blasted thing, and it's at the end when it meant something.
Episode 5 to 6 was all putting back together the mech that crashed in episode 1.
Yeah. And when you do see the mech go, when you see the Zaku explode, and it's only the upper half that explodes, right. They show you a rationale for it, which is that the fuel basically gets hit.
Right, because it was dripping.
Yeah, so you see that it's the engine reactor, what have you, is what gets hit by the beam saber, and it goes boom. I love that. The detail. This is back when anime was hand-drawn. So just the attention to detail, the colors and everything are very vibrant. So visually, it's an incredible thing.
I love the fake logos when you can't use McDonald's, you have like Wonder Burger.
Yeah.
I love those. And then the graffiti in English on the walls. Mm-hmm. That was funny.
The other thing that I love about it, going to the audio side, the voices, we watched it with the English dub, but I've watched it both ways. The voices are... it's tremendous whether you're watching it in English or Japanese. The voices really do fit in both situations. Alfred, whose voice is very grating and annoying at the beginning, by the end of it,
It's still kind of grating, but
it is.
He does sound like a kid at least.
But it sounds like a kid who's going through some stuff.
Right. He doesn't sound like a 23-year-old woman just doing the best she can with the script she was given.
Right. It doesn't sound like that. The music, for the most part, I'm okay with. The music is a lot of times very soft and melodic.
It's background music, so I don't even notice it. And I say if the music isn't noticed, it's doing its job. Because it's affecting you without making you aware of it.
Well, to me, with music, it works one of three ways. Either you notice it because it's that good, and that's when you start getting into John Williams territory and guys like that.
Or like the guitar riff that goes off during the action scene that just lights off the action. I can get that.
Then there's the music that is almost subliminal.
That's how I feel this one is.
Yeah, for the most part, I agree with you. And then there's the music that's so bad you notice it.
Right, or it's so much louder than the scene needs it to be.
Yeah, and with this, the biggest gripe I have with it, literally, I'm docking a half a point for the theme song. I hate the theme song of this show. It's the only thing about the show I don't like. And it's just horrible, in my humble opinion. It's a horrible theme song.
I think it's kind of pretty, but at the same time, I couldn't tell you any of the words in it. It sounds, in my brain, like gibberish.
The most effective use of that theme song, because to me, it's just, even the music itself I don't like. The most effective use of that theme song is in the repair montage towards the end of the show. When they do the repair montage and they're setting up the traps and all that stuff, that's actually the most effective use of the theme song in the entire series. But Gundam is actually fairly well known for having some really, really good opening themes for its shows. This is not one of them.
You may find different mileage due to the age of the anime. So, just be aware that it has a specific style and it's my niche and you enjoy it as well.
Yeah, it's the bridge. And you not having seen a lot of Gundam, you won't necessarily understand that. But the original series, and which was made in 1979, and then Zeta Gundam, which came along, I think, 1984-ish. Both of those two series have a very rough around the edges, especially for the original series, you could even argue fairly primitive look to them.
Kind of like the way when they took Go Line and brought it to America, I remember going back and watching it as an adult and seeing some of the scenes weren't animated. They were just stills, and the sound was going without you.
Yeah, not quite like that, but along the same lines. And then you have today, even when you get to something like Gundam Wing or G Gundam, and especially now, you have a very polished, clean, damn near sterile look to some of it because it all comes out of a computer. This is the in-between. It's not primitive like the original series looked, which is not me knocking the original series because I love it too. It's not primitive in that nature. But it's not spit and polish yet. It's just that little rough around the edges feel to it.
So the second half is intangibles such as story and entertainment, things you can't actually show.
Woo!
Oh my.
4.
You give it a straight 4?
Yes. The story here is the single best encapsulation of what Gundam is supposed to be. The story of Gundam, period, dot, end of discussion, is about war. And Tomino, when he created the series, I liken Gundam very much to Star Trek. Gene Roddenberry created Star Trek to be wagon train to the stars, to talk about social issues and social ills, and to
show a utopian that could be.
Yeah, and to show our weaknesses and foibles and issues today in a science fiction setting where you can frankly get away with the discussion. Tomino wanted to put together a show that showed war without glamorizing it, without glorifying it. And that's what this miniseries does. That's what this OVA does, without a doubt. All the way down to, you can almost encapsulate the entire thing into the final scene. Alfred Isaruha is, for all intent and purpose, he is Tomino by the end of this story of war is hell. It is not to be celebrated. It is not to be glorified. It is an evil that is necessary from time to time. And then you have his classmates, who he is very much like in episode 1. You have his classmates who literally say, "Oh, don't cry, Alfred. There'll be another war along soon enough, and maybe we'll even find some live bullets then, and they'll
collecting
give us
them as
rations."
mementos.
Yeah, and so you have the people who frankly don't know any better because they've never been through it, and don't know anyone that has, who are glorifying it, but then you have the kid that just lived it, who goes,
Right.
"Oh God, you guys don't know."
I give the story a 4 because exactly as you say, it is a great story. It is contained. I mean, realistically, the episodes are what, 25 minutes long?
Yeah, they're about 30 minutes an episode.
So you can watch this 2 sittings, 1 sitting, and not feel too bad. I mean, 3 hours and you got it done.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like watching 78 episodes of season 1 or
Yeah.
whatever they are.
Yeah, they're typically 50-episode seasons, and no, it's nowhere near that.
I'm only going to be a little bit less forgiving for enjoyment because while I enjoy this story, it is not a joyful story, and it may not fit your thirst at the moment. So do be aware it's a bit of a melancholy story. So I'm going to give it a 3.
3?
Yeah, because I don't do halves.
Yeah.
But I mean, personally, I would give it a 4. But for as a review, I'm going to give it a 3.
I will straight up give it a 4, but your mileage may vary.
It's going to be the theme tag for this.
Yeah, because if you are not, you can't just throw this in and watch it.
No, I mean, like, Saving Private Ryan was a beautiful movie. It is an amazing movie. It is not a movie that you just sit down and show anybody.
Yeah.
You've got to warn people ahead of time.
Yeah, this is not a popcorn flick. This is not something you're going to turn your brain off and watch.
It could be, as they say, Anime 101. It's that good. It's that simple at times, too. But the concept that it covers is much more in-depth that you don't want to surprise people with it.
Yeah, if I were going to introduce someone to Gundam in a 101 setting, it wouldn't be this one.
That's the one I was
It's the one you watched.
But I was also 30-something years old.
Well, but you already had a grounding in anime.
Yes,
So
that's true.
If you don't have that, if you're wanting to use something from Gundam as Anime 101, this is not it.
I think I disagree. I think you could, because there's nothing in this that is so spectacular, so future science fiction. I think a person who doesn't care for Star Trek could enjoy this.
Sure.
The robots and the space station aspect are not jammed down your throat. There's a few gravity gags.
Mm-hmm.
You know, beyond that, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's a story about people. Where they are is irrelevant. You could take this story and you could put it in 2 kingdoms.
Oh, sure. I mean,
fighting in a village that's in between them.
And that's one of the things that I think is excellent about the story. I just think wow, this is going to sound highfalutin and insulting, but
would have been funny to see Christy as like maybe the green armored knight in a jousting tournament.
I mean, what I want to say is going to sound very arrogant and insulting here, but I think the story itself carries a level of complexity and it's a fairly one-note story.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to use this to intro someone to this stuff. I would use, if you wanted to ease someone in, 8th MS Team I think is actually a better 101 fodder, and I say that because it tells the same story in a manner of speaking,
right?
But it gives you a wider range to do it.
I would agree that this would not be the first thing I show someone,
right?
But a 101 class lasts 14 weeks, so I would definitely put it in the curriculum.
Maybe it's at the end,
the second or third, after fall break.
Yeah, but no, there is no doubt this is. In my hierarchy of Gundam stuff and Gundam series, and I am far and away more a Universal Century fan than anything else, because the Universal Century is a cohesive storyline that, if you watch it from beginning to end, starts in the year 0079 and ends in, I think, 0223.
Well, I mean, you technically have given it a 7.5.
Yes. There is no Gundam series I would give an 8 to. But I would. This one comes close. And the only thing I'm docking on is the stupid theme song.
Wow, that's brutal.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a 6 because I'm giving it a 6 for a viewer like you who may not have ever seen it. Me personally, it's a 7.
Okay, so for you it's a 7, but you would say for
anybody coming in blind, if you were like, man, I gotta see an anime, is this one worth my while? It's a 6. It's worth your while. Just be aware. It's a little bit of a emotional ride.
You know, if I were gonna couch it that way, I probably would say for anyone else, I would say it's an 8. I actually would. Yeah. Because it's just, I despise the theme song that much. For me personally, I fast forwarded through the damn thing 3 times. The only reason I don't fast forward through it 4 times on the second disc is because it's part of the episode. So, but it's tremendous. It is, to me, the best work in Gundam. It's certainly the best work in Gundam that Tomino himself didn't do. Tomino's, there's some stuff, some of the series has come really, really, really close to this, but just for a condensed measure.
Well, you said you had something to plug?
Yes, we got a few things to plug. One, we have a new store for Geek Carolina. We now have 2 stores. You may notice I'm sporting some Rage Quit Radio colors today on the show. If you haven't seen our L5R live play series, The Empyrean Throne, which is what this shirt is from, definitely check that out. But you can go now to either of our stores. CafePress.com/GeekCarolina is still there, and there are some designs and some shirts that will be exclusive to Cafe Press.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, they're going.
I didn't see no Godzilla flipping a bridge on the new.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. But there's going to be some that will be exclusive to Cafe Press, and then there will be some that are exclusive to our new Redbubble store, which is redbubble.com/people/GeekCarolina. It will be down below somewhere. Now we have one home on Facebook for all the shows. It's facebook.com/GeekCarolina. Chris has been doing a lot of live stuff there. I try to periodically myself. And we're doing 2 giveaways right now on some of our various shows. Over on Rage Quit Radio, if you go to, and you've got until June 10th, I think, to do this. June 9th is when we're cutting it off. So June 10th, we will announce a winner for, we're giving away a copy of Smash Up.
The card game?
Yes, the shuffle building game from the folks at AEG. One was donated to us without a box, but it is the full game. It's all the cards, everything you need. We're going to be giving that away.
That's snazzy.
Yeah, all you got to do to win that is go back to, I guess it's episode 5, the latest episode of the Empyrean Throne. Due to weather and technical issues, we were not able to do that one live. So if you go there and you leave a buff or a troll through the hashtag system in the comments section for our players on that video, it will apply to the next session for them, and you'll be entered to win a copy of Smash Up. I'm
going to jump in. Personally put up hashtag give a Koku.
Well, that's not one of the ones you can do.
Throw it up anyways.
But there are different things you can do, and it'll be on screen. It's not hard to find. And then over on Dinsycaster, we are giving away this, which is Ultraman Season 1, Volume 1 on DVD. To win this, and we're doing this contest, I think we're going to do it until June 9th. We're going to basically do them until the same week. But for this, all you have to do is go to one of our latest 2 Johnny Sacco episodes. So we reviewed Johnny Sacco episodes 19 and 20 a few weeks ago, and we just got done doing 20 and 21, which aired earlier this week.
Him saying we is not me.
Yeah, not him. So 19 and 20, and then 21, 22.
I do got to get those cartoons that were based on this movie, or based on the show. Josh had given me episode 1.
Yes, Giant Robo the animation.
I think so. We got to get that.
Y'all did episode 1.
It was so horribly.
And here's the thing. Well, have you noticed some of the comments and whatnot?
No, I haven't.
That is much like we did on Dinsycaster. I think y'all have woefully underestimated the number of Giant Robo fans.
Did we get fire up?
There were some people not terribly pleased with y'all. But
in Chris's defense, he was half asleep.
Yeah.
I just thought it sucked.
In my defense, when I watched it, it put me half asleep.
The anime or the review?
The anime.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was both.
But seriously, go to one of those 2 videos and leave us some comments on those. When you leave us a comment, you're going to be entered into a drawing for Ultraman. Of course, it goes without saying that if you are someone here on Geek Carolina, you can't win. But it is what it is. So, We don't want one of those wouldn't you know who won the pony moments. So, but yeah, lots of new shirts, lots of new merch. Like the L5R shirt I've got on here. Like as I go into the camera, because this will annoy Dave.
Why would it annoy me?
Because it's Johnny Sacco.
It's okay.
Our new Johnny Sacco Nancy Caster t-shirt. So we've got that. We've got one for Kamen Rider Kamen Rider Build.
I was about to say, I could dig a Kamen Rider Drive shirt.
Yeah, but we've got a Kamen Rider Drive shirt. Basement Dwelling Fools. It's in both places.
That's fair.
So, I own
the sweatshirt. I do enjoy that one.
And there's a new 8-star anime shirt up now, too. You guys have probably seen me on occasion wearing the Denzi Caster shirt. That's the footprint with Denzi Caster across the front in the Godzilla font.
Mm-hmm.
Which it says Denzi Caster underneath it says Electric City Sentai. Well, there is now an 8-star anime version of the same shirt, and it's the footprint. It says 8-star anime in the Godzilla font, and underneath it says it's about to get awkward. Since there's been some Godzilla on this show, now.
Right?
And I think there's gonna be a Rage Quit Radio version of that shirt too.
I'm trying to convince Samantha to commit to a Miyazaki monthly, where we review one movie. Apparently, she has like 30-something DVDs of this. That's enough to do one a month. I'm trying to convince her to do it. So if that's something you're interested in, throw it up on Facebook.
Yeah, Geek Carolina. Facebook.com/Geek Carolina. Leave it there. Of course, anything that you do buy on any of our show or any of our stores goes to help the channel. Doesn't line any of our pockets. We all have full-time jobs. I will tell you right now that the camera is being held on the tripod by a rubber band. So we need a new tripod and a new camera mount, to be perfectly honest. The last one broke. So that's actually the next thing on the list is we gotta have a camera mount. It was going to be lights, but because I wanted to get some lights for the 8-star crew, but if we can't shoot, we don't.
Well, Studio D has been under construction, so that's why we haven't recorded too much.
Oh, okay.
So I'm doing some work around the house, and by doing, I mean I'm paying someone to do the work, so it gets done right instead of on fire. That's how I do things.
Well, there you
go. So we haven't had a chance to record, so that might be why you've seen some slackness in the 8-star crew. But we have not gone away. If you have some suggestions, throw them at me. The last time I got a suggestion, it was, what was that anime where they would?
Yeah.
We watched it.
I enjoyed watching their reviews of it.
Yeah, I'm saying.
And I know Chris is doing
something.
And I know Chris is doing some binges right now too. That should be coming up soon enough. So.
I've got to finish the journey. I can't remember her name.
Kino's Journey.
Kino. I did watch most of it, but I got to rewatch it to do the review. I like it.
Well,
all right. So we'll see you on the next one.